I asked your favorite YouTubers how they make pizza at home, and they came back with some interesting recipes. It's not the worst tasting thing I've ever had. They're definitely on a spectrum from delicious to crazy. First up, we got my mate Josh Weissman, all the way from Austin, Texas.
All right, favorite way to make pizza at home. Most of the time, when I just wanna make a pizza and I've got people coming over, usually I opt for the home oven, which means a bigger question. What style of pizza? And it is in between a New Haven and a New York style. Super simple, you make the dough, you bulk ferment it overnight. But listen, Andy, this is very important. You have to add the sugar that's in the dough. A lot of people, oh, you can't add sugar to your pizza dough. Shut up. Well, not you, Andy, but the people who are complaining about it. Love you, Andy. It's only 14 grams of sugar for 900 grams of flour, so it's a very small amount, but this minute amount of sugar is the make or break for the crispy crunch. I've tried it many ways with more, less, none, and this has been the most optimal amount when I tested these recipes. It works every single time. The next day, you take it out, shape it into balls, you let it sit out for another 3 to 3.5 hours to proof. You shape it, you've got a very, very, very ultra simple sauce.
So Josh's super simple sauce, like a super simple sugo from his website. Tomatoes, a little bit of garlic, just 2 cloves, finely grated in there. Don't rely on the food processor to do this work. It won't. Just a touch of sugar, just to help with the sourness of those tomatoes. Salt, and we're just gonna break it up. Don't do it for too long either. You'll incorporate too much air into your sauce. You're just trying to break it up. Then add your olive oil, one last mix, done.
Simple mix of cheeses, which is primarily 50-50 aged whole milk mozzarella, and then part skim mozzarella, and then a tiny bit of Parmigiano Reggiano or Pecorino for some extra salty flavor.
The skim milk one's an interesting one. I never thought about it, but it kind of makes sense. Let's see if it tastes as good.
The 2 different kinds of cheeses are for 2 different things, right? Different protein contents. You have the whole milk sort of aged for the milky, fatty mozzarella flavor, but then the other one for a little bit of cheese pull, a little bit of like chewy toothsomeness. What you will be baking this on is not a traditional baking stone, but instead a baking steel.
I do agree with Josh on this one. I think the pizza steels for a domestic oven are far better than the pizza stones. I just find they retain heat better. The hot tip, make sure you preheat it for like an hour.
When you hold up the pizza, it should not be all flaccid. It should be stiff. It should hold its shape. The crust should be crisp and crunchy, unbelievably delicious. A little bit of olive oil around the ring when it comes out fresh. This is a very thought out recipe, Andy, and I hope you love it. I hope you enjoy it. I think this is gonna be the best one, I gotta be honest. Love you, chef.
Not gonna lie, Josh, I'm pretty excited to eat this. Trick with pizzas like this is do not be tempted to eat it straight away. You gotta give it a few minutes to rest for all that cheese and fat to settle. No flop, or a little flop at the end. I think one of the things is that my oven only goes to 230 Celsius, which is this in freedom units. Not quite hot enough. Big fan of that dough recipe. It's nice and crunchy. It's still got a bit of doughiness to it, and that skimmed cheese does help with the cheese pull. As far as a homemade cheese pizza goes, that's pretty delicious. So where's this on the delicious to crazy scale? This is delicious, absolutely. I think the only way you can make this better is if you had a hotter oven, which means you need a pizza oven. Now I know not everyone has a pizza oven, but I do.
The truth is, I will happily eat most pizza. Like, I don't care that much. But if I'm really thinking about my ideal pizza, I'm thinking of it as a bread dish first and foremost. So I want a crust that it's naturally leavened, that has like a long fermentation, that gets nice and bubbly. I kind of like that hybrid between Neapolitan and New York. So cooked like somewhere between those temperatures. What is it, like New York is 600, Neapolitan's 1,000, you know, somewhere in the middle there.
Smells like my dog Olive, who had yeast problems. Now this is a far higher hydration dough compared to Josh's one that we just made, which makes it a little bit trickier to handle. My tips with this is to work fast and make sure your hands have oil on them so the dough doesn't stick to it. So I've preheated my Gosney Dome XL, and it's super easy. No fluffing around with fire or anything like that. I just plug a gas bowl in, couple of clicks, and she's good to go. Also helps because sometimes in Australia we aren't allowed to use solid fuels like wood when cooking outside when we're in a fire ban, but in some districts you can get away with gas still, but check your local authority. One of the best things and things I love about this oven is the amount of space that we have. You can easily fit a couple of large pizzas in there or 3 smaller pizzas, or like 2 leg of lamb roasts. I love doing roasts. I love doing roast chickens in here because you get really crispy skin and it cooks really, really quickly. I love doing fish in here, steaks, anything you need high heat, this thing will do it. Okay, so one of the things that makes this oven different from a lot of others is the fire arc, which really imitates a wood-fired pizza oven. So as you see the flame coming up whipping around and going down. It's almost like a convection oven. You have really even heat across the whole top of the pizza, which also means you get really even heat on your deck. So you get a lovely, good colored base all across your pizza on the bottom, and the cheese melts evenly across the top. So if you want to get your hands on one of these or check out the range, because they've got heaps of different sizes, then go check out the link in the description below. Trust me, your mates will love you. So stretching this dough can be a little bit tricky. It's just a big living thing, so it won't take much manipulation. Whatever you do, don't overstretch it. You also want as little flour as possible, which is tricky because it is a high hydration dough. Once you've kind of got it pretty close, work all the flour away before you continue to stretch it.
As far as toppings, I want like a little uncooked tomato sauce, maybe a little raw garlic and olive oil in there, good seasoning, thin layer. I like when there's like good acidity. I don't mind a little like raw, thinly sliced garlic on the pizza before it goes in. So it kind of like gets mi-cuit. Like you get like a little bit of bite, but it cooks a little bit and softens. That I really love. Some buffalo mozzarella, the most delicious, creamiest mozzarella, but like not like in Neapolitan, sometimes there's not enough cheese. And like I want the cheese to kind of still cover most of the tomato sauce.
Now I've taken the liberty of patting this really dry after I've sliced it. This Claire wants lots, but she doesn't want a soggy pizza. That's often where the moisture comes from. Now turn the oven down. So we're at like 400 deck height here, 500 oven temp. We kind of want that oven temp to come down as we're cooking. And this is where the pizza oven comes in handy, because you will not be able to get that temperature on your domestic oven, I guarantee it. Now if your base has already got some nice color, but you're still wanting some color on the top, just lift it up onto your peel and hold it close to the flame.
And then when it comes out, finish it with some fresh grated parm, and then maybe like a little stracciatella. Just want like that creamy lactic flavor. Oh, and olive oil. Really good olive oil at the end. I want the crust thin, but not so thin. I want it to be like super bubbly, to have that kind of like little charred edge, that leoparding across the bottom. When you pull out a slice, I feel like a little flop is fine, but I don't want it so wet in the center, which is sometimes I feel like what you get with Neapolitan. That's it.
It's pretty good. The sourdough flavor really comes through nicely, and that lovely lactic flavor from that stracciatella, but the char on the bottom is absolutely delicious, and I think what makes it stand out more than anything. The only way you get that char is one of these pizza ovens.
What's up, Andy? I'm gonna teach you how to make the ultimate Max the Meat Guy pizza. It's what I call roadkill pizza. As you might expect, it is very meat heavy, and it all starts with a cut called rose meat. Okay, it's a cut of beef, very common in Argentina. And yes, believe it or not, it is going to be the dough for our pizza.
What? Yep. Typical Max. So rose meat, this is from the top quarter of the cow in between the ribs and the skin. And it's a cut of meat I've never used before. Looks a lot like a skirt steak. It's the weirdest looking pizza base I've ever seen.
Roast meat is a bit of a tough cut, so you're actually going to marinate it in milk for quite some time.
I love bathing in milk. All right, we'll leave you to marinate and we'll come back.
Now the key here is taking it out of the milk,
Not gonna lie, I'm already grossed out.
patting it extremely dry because you want to make sure you get that crispy crust. And what you're going to do is do a initial pre-sear of that beef. You want to get both sides very, very nicely charred.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
From here, you can really just assemble your pizza, starting with the sauce, add the cheese as you like, but to be considered a true roadkill pizza, you need to add at least 3 types of meat. My necessities are crispy bacon, some thin sliced ham that'll also get nice and crispy, as well as some pepperoni. With it all assembled, get that into the pizza oven. You wanna get that cheese nice and melty like you would a regular pizza. Take it out, and what you're left with right there is the ultimate roadkill pizza. Trust me when I tell you, nothing is better.
I'm not gonna lie, Max, I don't know about this one, mate. I guess we better taste this. I genuinely am wondering if Max was kind of taking the mickey out of me, but it does feel like a very Max the Meat Guy thing. You never know, it might be delicious. Four years later. You know what, Max? It reminds me of a pub classic Australian Aussie Palmer. It definitely doesn't remind me of pizza. It's also very chewy because that rose meat is wild, but it's not the worst tasting thing I've ever had. It's also not a pizza. You can get your cholesterol checked.
Andy, my friend, I hope you're doing well. I miss you. Let me tell you about how I make pizza at home. And honestly, it's up to you to even agree if this is pizza or not, because I think a lot of people would not think this is pizza. It all starts with this guy right here, my sourdough starter. His name is Timothy.
This is Rex.
Like any good parent, I have to feed him every day if I keep him active. But on the days that I kind of want pizza, in the morning, I will take the discard from this because you generate a lot of discard. And into that discard, I mix in more flour and water. So 1 cup of flour, 1 cup of water. And I'll do that in the morning, just let that rise through the day. And in the evening, what I'll do is I'll preheat my cast iron in the oven as high as it can go. Just, I want this thing piping hot. Rub some olive oil into it, and once it's super, super hot, I will take my fermented batter, which now should risen a little bit, and I'll pour it into the skillet, and it should sizzle. You should hear it like pssh. Get this in the oven for a couple minutes, just for the dough to kind of solidify a little bit, and then I'll take it out and put my toppings. With the toppings, I like to keep it very simple because I like that sourdough taste, so I don't want to mask it too much. Just a nice, good quality, concentrated, reduced tomato sauce.
When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's amore.
And I do a little anchovies, maybe some capers. I love that brininess. And you bake that for about 10 minutes, you pull it out. It should be slightly charred, crispy but fluffy.
Look, I don't know if it's pizza, but I guarantee that is absolutely delicious.
And just throw in some fresh basil, some dollops of fresh stracciatella if my bank account allows that, and also some nice olive oil. Andy, I hope you like it. And if you do allow me, I want to ask your fans what I should name my sourdough starter, because I'm starting to question Timothy. It kind of doesn't have Timothy energy, right? Thank you.
There you go, Kevin. Let's have a taste. I can't wait. It's crunchy, soft, umami bombs from the anchovies there. Lovely basil and oil to finish. Delicious. Don't forget to leave in the comments, what should Kevin's sourdough starter be called? Mine's Rex. So what would Rex's brother's name be? All right, it's my turn. So I am gonna make my New York style pizza dough. The recipe is linked below. The only difference is that I've made my dough balls a lot bigger. These are 400 gram dough balls compared to what it says in the recipe. So you can use the same recipe, just make your dough balls bigger. And the reason I'm making my dough balls bigger is because I've got all the space in this incredible oven. This thing's massive, so I can make big New York style pizzas. But first things first, let's make these dough balls. So for my New York style pizza dough, we're gonna take a large mixing bowl and we're gonna add the flour and the wholemeal flour. Now I use quite a lot more wholemeal flour than Josh did. I just love the flavor that it gives to the end dough. We're also gonna add the sugar, just like Josh, dried yeast and water. We'll start mixing until it's a nice loose dough before turning it out onto our workbench, and we're gonna knead it for a good 8 to 10 minutes until it's lovely and smooth. It's kind of therapeutic. Then just like a lot of the other doughs, we're gonna bulk ferment this one in the fridge for 48 hours, nice and slow. Then on the day, 5 hours before you're ready to cook, pull your dough out, divide it into 400 gram balls and place them onto a tray to prove for the second time. Dough's proved, we're just gonna make the sauce, which is super simple. Whole tin of San Marzano peeled tomatoes, a little bit of sugar, just to cut through the sweetness. The truth is that even though they say San Marzano tomatoes, often they're not and they're a bit sour. A little bit of oregano in there as well, controversial. Clean hand, crush the tomatoes. I like to stretch my doughs with semolina and instead of flour. Why is because if you don't want any, well, you want as little as possible on the deck. Well, that's what's going to burn first rather than the dough. So if you use semolina, it comes off easier than just straight flour. I've had my oven preheating for like an hour. She is ripping hot. She is properly hot, but I don't want it that hot for cooking the style of pizza. I want the deck heat there, but I don't want the dome heat. So I'm turning it right down low while I stretch this out. That'll come down in temperature, but the deck will stay nice and hot. So I've got one of my lovely dough balls, massive dough balls, straight down into the middle of the semolina, both sides. Now to stretch, we're just gonna use your fingers, push down and away, leaving around a 1 centimeter rim around the outside. Okay, now you can start stretching the dough out. Once you start feeling it not really moving, I like to pick it up, drape it over your hand, and then using your knuckles, so the dough's sitting across here like this, so you've got no sharp fingers or anything to pierce it, you use that to stretch it. Gravity is your friend here. Using gravity really helps. You can be fancy and try and throw it like a pizziola, and then drop it and then have to start again. So let's not do that. Really important, you do not want any holes in your dough. If you have a hole, try and patch it up. What's gonna happen is that the cheese or the tomato sauce or whatever is probably gonna get stuck on the deck of your oven and you're gonna struggle to get it off. So what you should end up with is a round-ish dough. Don't be too stressed about how round it is. Reasonably flat through this area here. A rim around the outside that's a little bit more raised. Push all your semolina to one side. Now, if you aren't someone who makes 300 pizzas a night, don't be a hero and try and make your pizza and then put it onto your peel, I highly suggest you get your peel first. Just give it a rub, make sure it's not sticky at all. Put your pizza onto your peel and then make it there. But, big caveat, once you start putting toppings on this, the time is ticking. That's gonna start soaking in tomato sauce. If it goes through, it's gonna stick to the peel, which is no good. So just keep checking, make sure it keeps moving. If it stops moving, you're in trouble. Okay, tomato sauce. Don't put too much on it either. So you still wanna leave that rim free of anything really, sauce, cheese, everything. A little bit of olive oil at the end's all right, but. Next, cheese. There's an argument whether, sometimes I put cheese on last to hold stuff in. People always yell at me. I actually think it's one of those things in cooking that doesn't actually matter that much, to be perfectly honest. So to appease all the New York style pizza purists, we'll put cheese on first. Mozzarella this is, just like cow's milk mozzarella, nothing fancy. Try and get something that's relatively low moisture. If it's too high in moisture, it'll leach out too much and becomes a real pain. Pepperoni. We don't get the little cup style pepperonis here in Australia. Well, I have had them before, but they're not easy to come by, so this is just normal pepperoni, but I don't suspect that this will cup up. And that's it, a little bit of olive oil around the outside. Time to cook. Let's look at our temperature. So our deck temperature is almost 500 degrees and our oven temperature is down to 440, which is perfect. Just give it a bit of a working to make sure that it is gonna move. One last check, it moves, great. This is how you load it. This is how I like to load it anyway. We're gonna put the peel in, we're gonna put it down once and we're gonna swiftly pull away, just like this. Then you got to spin your handle like this. If you don't do that, you're not a real pizzaiolo. Once we look on this side, we can see that it's starting to rise. That's perfect. You're going to scrape your peel underneath there and just make sure it's free on everywhere before we start turning it around. Bring it nice and close to the door. We're trying to cook this pizza a bit slower than we would like a Neapolitan style pizza. It's probably going to take 5 to 6 minutes as opposed to like 90 seconds. They did cup. Look at that. Just like before, we've got some good color underneath, but I'm not happy with the color on the top. So we lift it up, we can turn our flame up now, and we can just start cooking that top a bit more. Just be careful because you don't really want grease on that deck, especially if you're gonna cook more pizzas that night. Now I like to rest my pizzas on a rack with a tray. I just find that it makes the base not go sweaty because it's got so much heat in it already. So just let that sit there for a couple of minutes before you cut into it. I'm pretty happy with that cook there. If you look underneath it, it looks pretty good. Definitely got a little bit too much color on this side, but that's okay. That's color is flavor. Right, before we cut it, we're gonna get some hot honey on here. Drizzle on as much or as little as hot honey as you like, but I like it. Just a little bit of torn basil, fresh parm for good luck. It's about as good as it gets. Great undercarriage, good color. Oh, it's so good. Salty pepperoni, sour tomato, with that sweet hot honey and that lovely base with like slow fermentation so you can actually taste it. Good proper char on the bottom, delicious. Legend, thanks so much for watching. Like this video if you took anything from it, subscribe if you're not. And a huge thank you to my mates over at Gosney for sponsoring this video. You guys are legends. We'll see you next week for another recipe. Peace. Oh, it was so hot.